All right, review for the first quiz of the semester. It says use a diagram to answer questions 1 through 6. Be sure to use the appropriate symbols. Number 1, give 2 names for the plane. So the plane is this parallelogram-ish shape right here. Remember, to name a plane, we're looking for a capital letter without a dot. So let's say there was just a big old M here. We could call this plane M. But we do not have that, so we cannot call it by just a letter. So we have to use letters on the plane that are points. So what are they? We have H, D, G, and F. We need to use 3 of these letters, but there is one restriction. See if you can get it in your head before I say it. We cannot use D, G, F together because those are also collinear. So you would not know if I'm talking about the line or the plane. So we cannot use these 3 together. But any other combination would be fine. So we can call it plane. And I'm not going to give every combination, but let's say just HDG. All right. I could have also called that GDH, DHG, any combination. It does not matter. There's no order. And for one more, let's say we go with plane FDH. Again, I could have said HDF or HFD. All right. Any combination of those 3, any combination of 3 letters just can't be DGF. Which leads us into name 3 collinear points. Well, that's pretty nice right there. D, G, and F. But we also have, notice, I, G, J. So we could have also said point I, point G, and point J. Okay, now this was a test. You would not have to give both of those. I'm just showing you for review purposes. Those are possible answers. Name 3 coplanar points. All right, so any 3 points on the plane, we've already named 3 points when we named it. So again, just don't do D, G, and F together. All right, so I'm just going to go right up here and look at this and say, well, point H, point D, and point G. There you go. Easy enough. But basically, you're just picking from those 4. Name a non-coplanar point. There are 3 choices. Well, this is above the plane. This is below the plane on the line. And this is sort of below the plane, not on the line. So any one of those 3 would work. I'll just say point J. But point I or point K would have been appropriate also. Name 1 line segment. Okay. Well, we have this one right here, and we just need to use 2 of the letters. So for example, DG. We could have said DF, FG, or FD, all names of the same line, all right? Now, we do have 2 lines, so you could have decided you wanted to name the other one, and that's perfectly okie dokie. So I'm just going to put it on here. Again, if it was a test, you would not have to name both. I'm going to look at this line and pick any of the 2 letters. So let's go with the extreme outside ones this time, and I'm going to say I, J, and put the line symbol above it. Again, that could have been JI, JG, GJ, any combination. Name 1 ray within point D. Well, there's not too many choices there. If you're starting at D, we cannot go this way because there's no letters there. So we don't have a choice that way. We have to go in this direction. And if we're starting with D and we're going that direction, we only have 2 choices. We can call it DG or we could call it DF. But starting with D, going towards one of those letters. Name 1 line 2 different ways. use a symbol, right? Oh, I just realized I made a mistake. Hopefully some of you caught it already. On number 4, it actually said line segment, not line. So this should be just the segment drawing, not the line drawing. My apologies. Number 6 is a line. All right, 2 different ways. So let's just pick one of those. In fact, we can just use the answers for number 4 and just change the symbol, right? We can call this DG. Oh, it says one line. Okay, so I'm going to call it DG. And I could just say GD, or I could say GF or DF. It doesn't matter. Those are the same line, just using different letters. You have plenty of choices, though. It's the nice thing about this test. All right, sketch the figure described. Be sure to label your diagram. So ray CD, immediately I'm just going to draw a ray. It doesn't matter which way you go. You could go that way, you could go this way. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll go with the first one. So label it though. If I start ray C, this has to be C. And I just put a dot here and mark it D. All right? And line segment BC. Well, a couple choices there. I could do that, all right? But watch, I could have also done this, because it's not very specific. That was really lousy. Put my dot, there's my D. I could put it right on the ray, and there's my line segment sitting on the ray. It doesn't really specify, okay? So you have choices. Plane A, all right? So I'm going to draw my parallelogram and just put a capital A in the corner. Oh, you know I'm not good at this. Plane B intersecting. So that means I have to do this thing here and then do my dotted line here. Okay, and just call it B. Intersecting at line segment MN. Well, it says line segment, so I'm going to put an M here and N there. And that's it. All right, find AC. Well, AC is the entire piece. And we know the entire piece is 5x minus 8. We also know that is made up of 2 smaller pieces, x plus 7 and 21. The 2 smaller pieces, so x plus 7, I'm putting in parentheses, doesn't need to be, but I'm just showing you the grouping. The small piece, and this is AB, if this helps labeling it, plus BC, which is just simply 21, equals 5x minus 8, and that is AC. So AB plus BC, the 2 parts add up to the whole. Well, now I'm just going to join like terms. That gives me x plus 28 equals 5x minus 8. I have a choice here. I'm going to keep my letters positive, so I'm going to subtract x from both sides. That's going to give me 28 equals 4x minus 8. Now I just add 8 to both sides. So 4x is equal to 36. I'm running out of room, so I'm not going to show the step. I'm going to divide by 4. X is 9. Now remember, it says find AC. Well, all I have to do is plug in 9 right here. So 5 times 9 minus 8. Well, that's 45 minus 8. So that's 37. I could have technically plugged it in here. 9 plus 7, okay, is 16. And add 16 to 21, and yes, I'd get 37. All right, Find AC. Well, we know this piece is 5. We don't know this piece, but we know it adds up to 33. Well, that's simple. All you need to do, since there's no variables here, is just do 33 minus 5. That's 28. Boom. All right, the endpoints of QR, this is the easy one, remember. We already know the endpoints, we're trying to find the middle. So that's that real simple one where you just say x plus -3 divided by 2. Wait, never mind, I'm doing the hard one. So I'm going to add my x's. Got ahead of myself, sorry. So -3 and 7. And -4 plus 2, my y's, divided by 2. Well, 7 plus -3, or 7 minus 3, is 4 divided by 2. -4 plus 2, or 2 minus 4, is -2 divided by 2. And that's going to give me 2, comma, -1. All right? Find the distance between these 2 points. Well, that's where you start off. Here's the distance formula. Again, I suggest you start off by doing this, putting all the relevant stuff in before you put the numbers in. And now, put in my x's, -7 minus 5, and then put in my y's. Excuse me, 4 minus -6. And this is where the, excuse me, doing this ahead of time helps, because instead of doing 4 minus 6, it's actually 4 minus -6, which is going to become +6. So my next step, -7 minus 5 is not 2 or -2. You're borrowing $7, you're borrowing $5, you're borrowing $12. Squaring it. Plus 4 plus 6 is 10 squared. So that's going to be 144 plus 100, which is 244. All right, so there are 2 ways to answer this. If you were going to simplify this radical, you would look for any perfect square that goes into it, and there's not many. It's actually only 4. So if you take 244 and break it down, it would break down to the square root of 4 times the square root of 61. Which means the answer would be 2 times the square root of 61. Or you could say it's approximately, and just type in your calculator the square root of 244, and you get approximately 15.6. If you remember how to reduce radicals, that's fine. If you want to just type in your calculator, we'll accept any answer on this quiz. Either one of those. All right, identify the midpoint of AC. Well, since this mark and this mark say AB is congruent to BC, that makes B the midpoint. Then find AB. That means they are equal to each other. All right, so I don't have a lot of room here. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. I'm going to move my letters right. And I'm also going to move my numbers left. I'm going to do it on the same line because there's not a lot of space. So that's going to cancel this and this, which will give me 10 equals 2x. When I divide by 2, x is 5. Again, though, it's not asking me to find x. It wants AB, which is just this segment right here. So I'm going to plug in x of 5 right there. So 3 times x, which is 5, plus 4. So AB is 15 plus 4, 19. Now remember to pay close attention. It could have asked for AC, which means you'd have to double the 19. And last but not least, the tricky one that I actually started to answer before. So remember our formula. This really helps if you write this formula out. So if you add the x's of the endpoints together, all right, and if I wanted to put, end point x, endpoint y, endpoint y, and divide by 2, you get the midpoint of x and y. So be careful here. This is our actual answer. So this is going to go here, and this is going to go here. You've got to pay attention. The most common mistake is to do 6 plus 5 divided by 2 and 5 plus 7 divided by 2. You've got to pay attention. This is the tricky one where you have one endpoint and the midpoint. So I would write the midpoint in right away. There's your answer. Then it's just x plus, what's my endpoint? 5 divided by 2. And y plus, what's my other endpoint? 7 divided by 2. And now we just do the math, right? I need to get to my x, which is being increased by 5 and divided by 2. I need to get rid of the 2 first by multiplication. It simply leaves me x plus 5 equals 12. Then I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, and that gives me x is 7. Same thing over here. Multiply both sides by 2. Boom. Y plus 7 equals 10. Subtract 7, y equals 3. So there is my other endpoint. 7, 3. Remember, the beauty of this, though, is you can check your answer. So I know, I think my endpoint's 7, 3, and I know my other endpoint's 5, 7. So if I do 7 plus 5 divided by 2, and 3 plus 7, I can't write, 7 divided by 2, that's 12 divided by 2, and 10 divided by 2. Does that equal 6 and 5? Yes, it does. So I actually can confirm my answer. And that's it. Good luck.